Hi, my name is Father Brian Christopher. I'm the superior of the Jesuit community here in Belize.
I'm Father Scott Giuliani. I'm with the Society of Our Lady of the Most Holy Trinity.
And it's great to be able to be here with you today for today's daily reflection in our Lenten reflection series on synodality and how we can be a synodal church. Today, Father Scott and I want to talk with you a little bit about praying for the grace of appreciation.
Father Brian and I were both priests of Jesus Christ, and as it's a wonderful gift to be a priest. And you see the best of humanity, but you can also see its worst. We're all called to this communion with God, to live in harmony forever in heaven. We know our life experience on this earth, we experience very often disagreements along the way. Now, disagreements have always been there in the church. However, how do we keep these disagreements from turning to divisions or polarizations that become very healthy and unhealthy and toxic? Well, here, Father Brian will be speaking about this grace of appreciation.
So really, the question is, when it comes to certain issues or certain ways of doing things as a church, there are times, as Father Scott said, when we disagree. We have different approaches, we have different ways of handling it, and that can be confusing for people. So the question is, how do we stay unified? How do we keep reminding ourselves that we're all part of this body of Christ, when on some issues it seems like we're so far apart? And one term that we use is appreciation. And what we want to encourage all of us to do is to work for and to pray for this grace of appreciation. And what do we mean by that? Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that we agree on everything. We're not going to agree. We're not going to agree on everything, but that's okay.
Nor do we need to, right?
Nor do we need to. But what we need to avoid is this toxic divisiveness that Father Scott was talking about, right? Because that just tears us apart. That tears apart our community. So what do we mean by appreciation? We mean something a little bit different than how we might normally use that word, appreciate. We mean something with a little bit more depth than, Father Scott, I really appreciate you. You're a really nice guy. What we mean is three things by this grace of appreciation. Number one, we mean empathy. And empathy means that I look at you and we may disagree, but I can look in your face and I see a fellow human being. I see a human being like me, right? Who has some strong opinions and has some ideas and who feels called by God to be a part of this church, and also has fears and needs that are just as real as mine. And that's empathy. Appreciation also means understanding. And understanding means that the more we talk, the more we engage with one another, the more I start to understand why you believe what you believe. And the more I start to understand why I believe what I believe. So we're no longer just talking about the issues anymore, but now we're starting to go to a deeper level and say, okay, there's a history there. I come to the table from a particular culture and with particular experiences and ways that Christ has spoken to me. So does Father Scott. So do all of us. Can we start to talk about those? And then the third aspect of appreciation is humility. And humility means this. As much as I might still believe that I'm right, I gotta start asking the question, maybe I'm not right. Or even if I am right, darn it, that maybe I don't have the whole truth. Maybe I'm right about a part of the truth, but not the whole thing. I've still got a lot to learn. And that's where humility comes in. So empathy, understanding, and humility. These become a new basis for mutual respect for us. This becomes a way that we really can keep our hearts and minds in union in spite of and even through all of our difficulties and disagreements.
Our Catholic Church is so diverse. It's so beautiful. I was just walking into by Father Brian's garden today. You see all the wonderful flowers that are there, and they're magnificent. They really are beautiful. And in the church, we have this diversity. And what's beautiful about our church, as we're reminded, is the pillar and foundation of truth, is that this diversity is not something of a hindrance, but actually it's something that leads to a mutual enrichment and it adds to the beauty of the church. And when we have the courage to enter into dialogue, especially with people that do not think the way we do, or look at things perhaps from a different perspective, we ourselves widen our horizon and understanding of things. This is a fantastic gift. However, when the church does this is not like somehow some kind of social network or social media that you just say different your opinion of something and you like it or you don't like it and it's over. But we believe there's a truth. And we believe that truth is not an idea, it's a person. And the fact that this truth is outside of me, it's outside of Father Brian, we're on this journey together to seek for this truth and encounter this truth more beautifully. And every time we enter sincerely in a dialogue with someone, it's like a cross-examination of perhaps some blind spots that we may have in our understanding, but also mutually enriches us. Even when we walk away, perhaps in disagreement, but without that toxic polarization, we actually grow in this deeper appreciation of one another and appreciation and desire for the truth.
And I would say this, that and just to be real clear, we're not saying that there's no such thing as right and wrong. This is different. What we're talking about is different than, well, you do you, and I'm going to do me. Because where that gets us is 2 different churches, or maybe 15 different churches, or whatever. Right? There is still right and wrong. There still is a truth.
If I can point on that, just to highlight that same point, is we don't have appreciation of someone who's, let's say, committing domestic violence. Oh, I'm appreciating what you're doing is right and wrong. However, his heart can come to know his person, but the act itself, that's a wrong act. And we need the courage to call sin, sin, good, good, evil, evil. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I would just add on that, or expand on that there are some beliefs and practices, as Father Scott said, domestic violence, there are some beliefs and practices that as Catholics we simply can't get on board with and say, well, okay, let's sit and talk about that. We need a little bit more. But then there's a practical question that comes up, right? So let's say that we do disagree. Let's say that I am right. Father Scott is wrong.
Let's say that.
Just hypothetically, right? What do we do with that? We can keep going back and forth, and we're going to start screaming at each other, and pretty soon we're going to come to blows. And he was a semi-pro hockey player, so I don't want to come to blows with this guy. I can do gardening. I can't come to blows.
I never could throw a punch.
But where's that going to lead, right? Here's what I found in my experience, that when I disagree with somebody, when things get heated, when things start to get intense, I am less likely to change my mind. I'm less likely to reconsider and rethink my position. And so there's something about moving towards this grace of appreciation. If we can have a different kind of conversation where we're not at each other's throats, but really trying to understand where the other person is coming from, my own experience of that is that I'm more likely to change. Maybe you're more likely to change. Whoever we're talking to is more likely to change. So there are situations that are wrong. But the thing is, we want to bring people along with us, right? And that change comes from relationship. When we respect each other, then I think we can start to change.
We have to be very careful in our church that we don't make our what we call faith an ideology. We can grab hold of an idea of what it means to be holy, or an idea of what it means to be Christian, and not even see the person in front of me. And I think Father Brian is bringing this out very well, that relationship to meet the person where they're at, find out what they like and don't like, to learn to listen. That the grace of appreciation that really, as Father Brian went through those points, it really is points of a good listener. And in this light, I really think we have a special gift here in Belize. Perhaps people born and raised here, they may not appreciate it as much, but there's a wonderful gift in its diversity, not only in creation, but in the different cultures. And the fact that we still have a family feel, like, oh, I went to school with that person over there, but oh, let me call so where you have this closeness that's there, And I think as Belizeans, we want to realize that you have a gift to give to the church. I feel this closeness in the midst of perhaps disagreements is one beautiful way that the diversity of the church can learn from the diversity of Belize as we live with one another, especially in our church. And I think, I hope and pray that we can grow in that gift ourselves, and we don't get caught up in this kind of trend of a toxic way of polarizing things and falling to sound bites and demonizing the other side. But we continue to see that that's my so-and-so's cousin. I went to the same school as that person. This is my friend, and it changes things when we can be friends.
And where I'm from, we don't have that.
Yeah.
Where I'm from, as you all well know, in the United States, it is an incredibly polarized society and seems to be getting worse. And one of my fears is that I don't want us to bring this to Belize. And I think we need your help, and I need your help in keeping us in check. As Father Scott said, that you have a real gift here in Belize. Fight for it, push for it, hang on to it.
Yeah, Father Brian may not remember this, but I'm from Canada, right?
And I remember.
And so, we're open. We're very nice people.
Very nice people.
We're very open to everything. But what has happened in Canada, we were so open to everything, Now you see Canada at odds with everyone, where everything goes. We lost the direction where we're going. We lost our roots, and we lost those relationships. And those same divisions are now rising up in this very nice, friendly Canadian country. Yeah? And so I guess that's one of the gifts that Father Brian and I really want to help as priests in Belize, to bring the path of unity, to accompany people in this path of unity and communion of the church. Because we love the church. We love the church deeply. And we know you do too.
So maybe here's the challenge that we can leave you here with today. You're going to obviously there are people that you're going to disagree with. Maybe they're in the church, maybe they're at work or at home or at school. The challenge that we want to invite you to consider today is, when you disagree with somebody, stay engaged with them, especially if it's one of those disagreements that's not going to be solved soon. If it's you just see things differently. Don't just agree to disagree, but keep coming back to the table and talking with one another. As Christians, one thing that we simply cannot do is we cannot give up on one another.
Amen.
So we'll see you again.